to be with you guys today. Thank you so much. And we're going to talk about preparing for the empty nest. So this talk has kind of evolved. When I first started giving it, it was really focused on just the empty nest stuff. And then I started receiving lots and lots of emails and direct messages on social media from parents who had a lot of regrets about things they hadn't done well. They hadn't maybe finished strong. They didn't feel like their kids were prepared and they were blaming themselves. So it became very clear to me that I had to incorporate that into this. And yes, I've given you a handout. I can do it on a PowerPoint, but I feel like when I've done this before, people really have appreciated having something to take with them. So that is why I have a handout. Okay, so when we think about the empty nest, the biggest thing is that I think, and you guys alluded to it already, there is a mixture of emotions. You've kind of got this mixture of like elation, like freedom, and then you have kind of this dread, like, oh, who will I be without mothering? And then, anxieties in there too. So intellectually, you probably know that it's time for your kids to move on. You can kind of see when they're ready to leave the nest and the break needs to happen and you feel like, they're ready and it's time for them to go. But that doesn't mean it's like flipping a light switch, because it's not. And so you have to understand that this is a significant life transition. They're going through a significant life transition, transitioning to college. You're going through a significant life transition, transitioning to the empty nest. So today we're going to talk about 6 things you need to do to prepare for the empty nest transition. Okay, so number 1, and this is where we're going to spend a good deal of time, is you want to finish strong as a parent. Finish strong. Okay, so how many of you guys have juniors or seniors? Okay, yay. Okay, great. I hope this is so helpful to you and practical. Okay, so the first thing I want you to do is you need to sit down and have an initial conversation with your child. And you're going to tell them that during the next, if you have 2 years, if you have a junior, senior, you may just have a few more months. During this next period of time, I am going to be preparing you to leave. And there are going to be some things that I'm going to be teaching you and talking to you about, and you're going to get very irritated. But I'm going to remind you that we had this talk, and we're going to go through these things. You need to prepare them. So you're going to ask for their patience with this. Tell them this is something you need to do as a parent. So you want to have this conversation at a time where there's no conflict. It's just like, oh, by the way, I heard the speaker. I've been thinking about these things. We're going to be talking over the next couple of months about some things that you need to do to be prepared to leave. And so I'm going to be working with you on those things. So then later when they get irritated, you can be like, remember that? Okay. So I'm going to share with you guys, this is like a little talk within my talk. I'm going to share with you 10 critical things they need to know before they go. And some of these, hopefully you'll be like, oh, we've done great on that, check. And there may be some that you need to work on. So number 1, your kids need to know how to find their way around. They need to be able to navigate using their phone app, the walking navigation, the driving navigation. They need to be able to navigate public transportation. They need to be able to navigate an airport all by themselves. And really the secret is you can just tell them, read signs. The world was made for people that are probably not as with it as you, and so there usually are signs. So they need to learn to find their way around. That's really important. Okay, number 2, they need to know how to be a good roommate. And that involves not just pulling their weight in the household, but recognizing what needs to be done and doing it. So that means, oh, look, the garbage is full. I will take the initiative to take that garbage out. So if you, maybe your son is responsible for taking out the garbage every day at your house anyway, but if you're having to remind him every time, that's not good. So that needs to stop. To be a good roommate, they need to know see what needs to be done, take the initiative to do it. Dishes don't stay in the sink, they go in the dishwasher. The dishwasher gets unloaded, all of that. Okay, number 3, they need to learn how to manage medical issues. So you want them to start taking over, making all their medical appointments. You want them to start picking up their own prescriptions, all of these things. they need to learn to be their own advocate with healthcare. So before I sent my kids off, you guys, I realized that I hadn't taught them kind of something that may seem kind of basic, but pharmacists are highly trained to know things like medical interactions between drugs and things like that. That's a great resource for them. Also, I realized my kids didn't really realize that many of their medical questions could be answered by just calling the doctor's office, getting on the nurse line, talking to the medical assistant, because I was doing those things for them. So you need to have them do that. If they have a question, great, call Nurse Julie at the doctor's office and see what she thinks. And if you need to go see the doctor, she'll make an appointment for you. So helping them navigate the pharmacy and the medical arena is going to be so helpful when they're out, because of course, they're not going to go to the medical center on campus when they're in college unless they're ill. So they don't feel well, they're not thinking straight. They're going to have to deal with that medical center, and they're going to have to deal with the local pharmacy, and you want to prepare them for that. Okay, so number 4, they need to know how to talk to strangers and ask for help. And now we've been telling our kids, like, don't talk to strangers all their life, but now you're going to tell them, do talk to strangers. So what you want to do is help them understand that people are their most valuable resources. Everybody knows something that you don't know. So they need to be able to talk, ask for help from librarians, waiters, teachers, all those kind of things. If you've been running interference, it's time for them to take over with that. So you want them to practice while they're still at home with all these things. So even things as simple as like returning something to Target or something like that that you may have been doing, they need to just get, I mean, look, that's not rocket science, but it would give them confidence to know that they've done it once or twice and they know how to manage that. Okay, number 5, they need to know how to develop strong interpersonal skills. So do your kids know how to get along with and respect those who feel differently than them, who have a different belief system, a different political persuasion, maybe even like a different fashion sense. They need to understand and know how to have civil discourse and be respectful of people that disagree with them. So you want to work with them on being a good listener, a good friend, and being very, very respectful in that situation. Civil discourse is where it's at. Okay, number 6, this is not a surprise, manage money. They need to be able to use the banking app on their phone, work within a budget, manage debit cards, things like that. If you're planning to send your kid off to college with a debit card, maybe you give them one now and you work with it while they're at home. So they need to learn to manage money. We're going to talk a little bit more about the specifics of that in a sec. But number 7, they need to be open to trying new things. So college is the time when you try new things. There are lots of new people, great opportunities from study abroad to just meeting new people, joining new organizations, and so they need to be open to that. If you've lived in one area, if they've been with the same kids for 12 years, that may not be something they're comfortable with, but they need to learn to be open to that and open to trying new things. Make sure they know just that college is the time to stretch themselves, and that's what they need to be doing. Okay, number 8, this one's really important. They need to know how to cope with fluctuating emotions. So I think this generation of kids is very into mental health, which I think is terrific. I'm not talking about mental health problems. I'm talking about, and I think I see in this generation of kids, including my own, this concern about their mental health to the point where they don't understand that the ebb and flow of emotions is normal. That whether it's hormones, teenage moodiness, just adjusting to a significant transition like college, the ebb and flow. You're gonna have good days, you're gonna have bad days. That's normal. You're normal. It's okay. You don't need to necessarily go to the counseling center. Maybe you do, but not necessarily. That there is some normalcy to that. So encourage them to work through that and that they are normal. We told our kids that they could call us anytime. They could call us to vent, they could call us when they were bad, they could call us if they were crying, they could call us for whatever reason, day or night. And we just wanted to be that sounding board. When they felt like there was nobody to talk to, we would be there for them. So I will tell you, that is a challenging thing to offer to your kids as a parent, because when they do that, you're holding the bucket. And then you're left with all that excitement that was in the bucket when they move on, and the next day's fabulous. And you're dealing with that, but that is something significant that you can do that will really be an encouragement to them. I will tell you that when, word of warning, so if you tell them something like that and they do take you up on it and call you, how you react in that first phone call, second phone call, time that they do that, will determine whether they'll continue to do it. So this is not the time for the third degree. Why'd you get in that situation? What happened? Well, what did you go talk to your teacher? What, This is not the time for that. They're just wanting you to be there for them. So, okay, cope with fluctuating emotions. Number 9, they need to learn how to manage assignments and deadlines. So if you are acting as your I feel like I should hold Lisa's hand when I say this. If you are acting as your teen's alarm clock, you need to stop. And they need to manage their own deadlines. Life is full of choices, and choices have consequences. And they need to understand that those choices have consequences and that they are going to feel the repercussions of those. So stop being their alarm clock if you are. Stop reminding them about deadlines. And if they miss something, that's too bad. But all these things that you're teaching them while they're still at home are going to benefit them when they leave, and they're going to make you feel better about the way you've sent them off. You did what you needed to do. You finished strong. Okay, number 10, stay safe. You need to teach them to stay safe. They need to know how to call an Uber. Obviously, they probably all know that. How to dial 911 and how to share their location on their phone. You need to talk to them about having an exit plan if they get in a situation where they could potentially be compromised. So if you're walking into a big party, just kind of look around and figure out how you're going to get out of here if this is, or have a plan for when you leave if everybody that you came with ditches you or whatever. So they need to have an exit plan. We told our kids, again, they could call us anytime they felt vulnerable or compromised in a situation. We would not give them the third degree. We would just be there to talk to them. If they were walking home from the library late at night, wishful thinking, or whatever it was, that we would stay on the phone with them just so they could act like they were chatting with someone, and it was us, and that was great. So, okay, so those are the 10 things they need to know before they go. Now, once you get closer to leaving time, I'm talking about like maybe you guys July, if they're leaving in August, okay? So once that happens, you need to have a few crucial conversations to establish expectations and boundaries. And so you're going to want to talk about expectations that come with leaving. So you want to agree on things like, how often are we going to text or call? What's going to happen if I text you and you don't text me back? Is 24 hours a reasonable amount of time? Or are you just rolling your eyes and being like it's mom again? How often a day? Or is it okay for me to text you? And we told our kids, we trust you. You trust us. So if I text you, you know I have something to say. And I'm going to trust that you're going to text me back when you're ready to answer me. If you don't text me back, I'm just going to assume the best of you. I'm not going to assume you're blowing me off. I'm going to assume that you're busy. So I'm not, when you text me back, I'm not going to be like, why did it take you so long? I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to trust you. But we had that conversation. We established that in a conversation before they even left. So these are the crucial conversations you need to have in July. You need to talk to them about what you're willing to pay for and what they're going to be paying for. So do all these things before you get into a situation of having a potential conflict with them. Okay, let me make sure I finish that. Type of expenses that you're going to cover, type of things that they're going to cover. We told our kids, this is kind of crazy, but we told them we would always pay for their food. Even if they went out with their friends, we would pay for the meal. This was big fun for them. They were like, yay. Now, we don't pay for alcohol. We don't pay for anything like that. And anyway, the drinking age is 21, and you're too young for that. So, but we will always pay for your food and enjoy that. And we want you to be well-nourished, make good choices. So we just told them we would do that. So basically, you just need to agree in advance on who pays for what. Okay. Number 3, transition to the empty nest. We're back on that. You want to keep your own emotions in check. So without a doubt, we already talked about how when you're transitioning to the empty nest, or you guys, even if you're just sending any child off to college, You've got this mixture of emotions, and that's normal. Okay, you're going into a significant life transition if you're leaving, if one of them's leaving. If it's your empty nest time, you're really in a significant transition. So, who else is in a really significant transition? Your son or daughter. Very significant. So, you need to be the adult. Do not put your emotions on them. They are already dealing with so much anxiety about this significant life transition in their own lives. So, what you need to do is not, I'm going to miss you so much, what are we going to do when you're gone? And I don't even know, it's just terrible. Even if you're doing it half joking, don't say that. The conversations you want to have are like, gosh, we're really going to miss you when you're gone. It's going to change our family dynamic not to have you here. But you know what? You are ready. And I'm so proud of you, and we're excited about what you're going to do. It's time for you to move on, and you're ready. And yes, it'll be different, but you're ready. It's going to be awesome. The feelings that you're having, you need to keep them to yourself. You need to be the grown-up, and you need to be the adult. Do not put them on your child. Love them enough not to do that for them. And that's hard, but you can do it. Okay, that leads us right into number 4. You want to build up and fortify your support system. So if you're married, you want to talk to your spouse about your feelings. Chances are they share many of those feelings. So here's something scary. The divorce rate among empty nesters is the highest in terms of all demographics. It's very, very high. So if your kids are not gone yet, I'm going to tell you, you need to be nurturing your marriage right now. And I'm just speaking hard truth to you. Please nurture your marriage. Please take care of each other. Please keep talking. Go to counseling if you need it. Keep dating each other. Go away by yourselves. All of those things. You're setting good examples for your kids, and you need to nurture your marriage. So, in terms of your support system, your spouse is going to be the best one. Men deal with this a little bit differently than women, or a lot differently. And so keep talking. It's going to look different for the two of you. It's a period of grief when one leaves the nest. And so you're going to go through it a little bit differently, and that's fine. One of you may be more excited about the freedom, and one may be really grieving more. So you just want to talk about that. If you're single, you want to talk to your friends, to family about this upcoming transition, and be sure to get some good support and a listening ear that you can call when you're struggling. Okay, you want to look online for virtual support. There are going to be people you can follow on social media that will help you navigate this transition, look to move forward with joy and with peace. I will just tell you as a word of caution, there are people that have gotten in trouble because there are empty nester support groups online, and you may find that some of those are helpful. Some of those may be more geared toward people who are sort of stuck in that grieving phase, looking past instead of looking future and moving on. So be careful if you feel like that's a support group that you want to join, just that it's oriented in the right way. Follow other people that are in your age range on social media that can be a blessing and an encouragement to you to move forward with joy in this season. Okay, number 5, this one's so fun. Plan a getaway. Within your first month of the empty nest, you need to plan a getaway. It's going to give you something to look forward to. Also, you guys, the greatest, September is so cheap. It's the cheapest place to go anywhere. So you're going to get great deals, and it's going to just be something that you can always have in there. If you've got girlfriends you want to go with, great. If you've got spouse, family members, whatever. Plan a getaway somewhere that you're excited to be and excited to go, maybe that you've always wanted to be. When we became empty nesters, we planned a getaway, but we decided, well, we should stay in America just in case she needs us. Which was hilarious because that did not happen. But, we just felt better about it. So, anyway, plan a getaway. Okay, number 6. We're going to spend some time on this one. Think about what you want in the next season of life. So one of the greatest adjustments to life as an empty nester is actually kind of giving yourself permission to focus on yourself once again. You've been living your life in a very others-oriented way, focusing on your kids, your family, and so it's gonna feel awkward and kind of weird to think back about yourself. It'll feel kind of selfish. It just feels odd. You may realize that you really don't even know exactly who you are anymore. And that is a challenge. So you're gonna think about what you want in the next phase of life. A under that is the first thing you're gonna wanna do. Don't pressure yourself to hurry, quick, move on. So the first thing you're gonna do is you're gonna play catch up. Play catch up. You may find you're going to need to play catch up in some areas of your life that you set aside while the kids were your primary focus. So that can be anything from your marriage, maybe needs attention. Maybe it's your health and fitness. Maybe you're out of shape. Maybe you haven't been to the doctor in a while or the dentist, or play catch up. Maybe your house is a wreck. You know, we have 2 boys and then our daughter is the youngest. After those 2 boys left, the house was a disaster. The girls cleaner, so we had the entire house repainted. We recarpeted the upstairs because it was a mess. So take that time to kind of play catch up. Don't worry too much about moving forward. Just catch up a little bit with your relationships that need your attention too. So important. B, take some time to dream. So the new season of life as an empty nester brings with it an opportunity to really rediscover and reinvent yourself. So you want to just do this don't pressure yourself to be like, I'm going to go out and make a big difference. At first, just start by maybe journaling. Just your thoughts and feelings, like, gosh, I always wish that I'd sort of done this, or I've always wanted to go here, I always wanted to learn Spanish, or whatever it is. Just spend some time journaling. Fill the journal with lists of things you want to do. And then maybe it's people you want to spend time with, whatever it is. What have you been putting off that you really, really want to do? So as you're journaling, there are going to be things that you keep coming back to as you're thinking this through. And those are the things then you're going to want to start to make some goals and to write some things down. This really is what I really want to do. So part of that is, C, take inventory and explore your options. So as your focus shifts from your children to thinking about yourself, as we said, it's going to feel awkward, uncomfortable. You may not really know who you are anymore. So step back and take a look at yourself. What are my skills? What are my abilities? What are my talents? What do I have to offer? If you're not sure, and like we said, you may not be because you haven't been focusing on yourself. Do something like I texted 10 people, including my 3 kids, and I said, I'm just doing a little experiment. Would you please text me back 3 words that describe me? Y'all, it was very helpful. So I ended up with 30 words that really showed me this is how other people see me. And I didn't know. And it was very eye-opening. And none of the words were like, you're a helicopter parent. It was negative. They were all very sweet and positive. So it was very, very helpful in seeing the way other people see me. So you want to take stock as a part of that, kind of take inventory, explore your options, take stock of who you are. Then you want to research the possibilities. So when I became an empty nester, maybe you feel this way, you kind of get overwhelmed with all the possibilities out there. Oh, I could go back to school. Oh, I could start a career. Oh, I could enter the workplace again. I could become a volunteer. I can run for office. I can, whatever. There's so many possibilities. It can be hard to narrow it down. So the great news is we live at a time when information is just a keystroke away. So take that time to do your research. If you're thinking about re-entering the workforce, maybe you could shadow somebody for a day, or a big volunteer position, same. Explore, explore, explore. Research the possibilities. Again, don't pressure yourself to get out there and make a big impact. No, I'm an empty nester. Just take your time, do your due diligence, and do your research. So do that. It'll give you a good idea of what to do. Okay, also you want to assess your resources. So resources can be financial, they can be the people in your network and in your life, but they can also be knowledge, abilities, or they can be a good and unique idea that you have. So when I felt like I was wanting to speak into this empty nester phase, it was because I saw a lot of my friends really falling apart and floundering for a year, 2 years, 3 years when their nests emptied. And I thought, this should not be. I mean, just like thinking about this logically, like we probably have a third of our life left. I mean, let's just be real. And so we have things to do. There's significant people that you can be. You were a woman or a man before you were a parent, before you were a daddy or a mommy. You were someone with something to offer. So it's about rediscovering what that is. Okay, when I started Empty Nest Blessed, I spent a long time checking out other blogs for empty nesters and doing a lot of research on that. And what I found was a lot of sad places. And that wasn't my vision. My vision was really to encourage and inspire and bless empty nesters, encourage them through this period of life, and be that cheerleader to say, we can all do this. I'm doing this, we can all do this. You can make a difference. So I felt like I had a unique take on it because I did my research, and I knew there was an opportunity for me to have a voice and speak into this situation. So, okay, then D is you're gonna wanna set goals. That's pretty obvious. Set goals for your empty nester years and then put a plan in motion to meet those. So you wanna make a plan that's realistic. Break down your steps in bite-sized pieces so they're not so overwhelming. Be very systematic in that. Do it slowly. Again, don't be in a rush. You're going through a period of grief at the beginning with the empty nest. Even if you're like, woohoo, and you're one of those people like, I can't wait. There still will be a time of sadness, grief, just this is weird, getting used to this. So that's why you need to be slow with the entire process. Go slow, take your time, give yourself time to grieve, and then you'll be able to move forward in health. And also, you finish strong as a parent because we've equipped you. So you're gonna finish strong, and that's gonna make your transition so much better. Okay, you wanna share your plan. Once you have a plan, share it. With a mentor, family member, friend. There's going to probably come a time when you need a cheerleader that can help you stay focused on your goals. So you're gonna wanna do that. Okay, guys, I think you're so smart. I just wanna say in conclusion, I think you're so smart to be thinking about this now. The people that are avoiding it are the people that find themselves in trouble. They have regrets. They didn't send their kids off with what they needed to. They're overwhelmed by it all. So you're thinking about it just by the fact that you're here and that you haven't left. And I'm glad about that. That will help you. So that's a really great thing. So the next season of life, it brings significant adjustments for you, but for your child also. And I just think you're so smart to want to be proactive about this. So thank you for having me. I hope it was helpful. Questions? Do you have any questions? Yes.
Well, first of all, when you were talking about here's how to do it, you said like number 2, take some time to dream. I thought you said drink, and I was like,
drink. That is not the first time that's happened. The last group that I gave this talk to, the same thing. I'm sorry, I talk very fast.
No, I was good.
Yes, no. And if drinking helps you dream.
I do have a question though. I read something recently about people when their kids leave, they think about downsizing and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And the person that wrote this was like, don't do that because your children want to come back to the place they grew up for a while. Is it psychologically damaging if you move?
Not necessarily, but at the same time, I wouldn't feel that you have to.
Right.
And we haven't downsized, and it's been, our daughter's been at school for 4 years. I mean, she's been gone for 4 years now, and 5. And it's just what feels right to you. I mean, that's when, with your kids, you need to, it's like, okay, well, you're off doing your own life now, and Dad and I are changing too. And I'll tell you, one of the things that I found in my empty nest is I've been, thinking about this, preparing for this. I'm like, these kids are ready to launch. We've equipped them. They're ready. You go. You're going to be awesome. What they haven't done is they haven't let me grow in their minds. That was significantly hard. They were used to seeing me in this mom role. So then you get to the point where you're parenting these adult kids, and you might say something even kind of neutrally nebulous, and they hear it like you're like you're momming them, and I'm like, whoa, no, that's not, you misunderstood me. That is not what I'm doing. So sometimes it's hard for them to know that you've moved on from being that mother, and that's a transition too. I'll come talk about that in 2 years for you. But I don't think it's psychologically damaging. I mean, I will say that they need to understand, and they may push back against it a little bit, that like, you're off doing your own thing and we're super happy. Okay, so now we're gonna do our thing too. And you have to respect that and honor that as much as we're honoring what you're doing. And so Dad and I feel like this is the best decision now. Maybe you want to say, you're an adult now, I'm going to tell you here are the reasons we're doing it. It's this financial reason, it's so we can be closer to grandma, it's whatever your reasons are. And talk to them like an adult and help them understand. But don't be scared to grow yourself, and they may push back because it's not comfortable. But that's okay. That's okay. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, that was
okay.
great.
Yes, hi Dad.
Question, and I'm not quite sure whether or not I have all the background behind it, but I've been told that after a child reaches age 18, that, and certainly whether or not they're still at home or even, well, if they're at home, well, I don't know. What I'm talking about is a medical power of attorney. So
Okay.
I think unless you have that established, you're not going to have access to medical records, anything that might happen
Interesting.
to your kids
Yeah.
once they're away. Do you have anything else to add to that?
I do not, but that is excellent. I actually have not really thought of that before.
Somebody mentioned that.
We did, yeah, we did, thank you. Yeah, medical power of attorney, and also thinking about like having access to their passwords and stuff like that. That's a little tricky. You know, it kind of depends on the relationship you have with them, but that's really something good to think about. I'm glad you mentioned that. I'm gonna look into that. Thank you.
I think you can pick up standard forms from your doctor, your
Yeah.
dentist. That's on my list of things to do.
Yeah, that's great. Good for you. Well, you might want to pick up a bunch. That's good. Get one for me. Oh, that's great.
Some college websites.
Yes, have that.
Have a medical power of attorney on there. So there's some, depending on the college, they have some resources for new
I love that.
empty nesters or something like that.
Yeah.
You should get your kid to sign this medical attorney, power of attorney, and they'll give you a form.
That's
Things
awesome.
like that.
Yeah, over at our pediatrician, when my daughter turned 18,
Yeah.
they wanted to talk to her, so she has the portal. I can't get into the
Yeah, no,
portal
that's
and
perfect.
order her medications
perfect.
anymore. She's
Yeah.
gotta do that.
Perfect.
And if she has a question, she has to do it, and she
That's
has her own
awesome.
passwords.
That's
She
great.
does that from out of state now.
Love that.
Yeah.
That's very good.
Switch it really
Very
fast.
good.
I think it's also on the financial side in college too,
Yeah.
that you don't have access to the records unless it's agreed upon ahead of time, is that correct?
Yes, that can be. We did a debit card for our kids when they left, where we could see everything that they were spending, and if they put it on the debit card, if they chose not to, that's their deal. But anything that they were spending that we were paying money for, we were on the debit card, they were on the debit card.
I
so
mean,
we
on
could see.
like the bursar side of things.
Yes.
So
Yeah,
it's
oh, yeah, yeah,
not
oh, yes,
anything
that
like
is true, yeah, that is true, and some allow you to opt in your parents, and some do not. But yeah, so, all the more reason that you need to help them learn this responsibility before they leave, where they're, in a safe place at home, and learn to manage those things, or else it's just a lot to take on. Okay, anything else? Okay, thanks you guys.